I cordially invite Dr. Anoop Kumar, Organizing Secretary of Centennial National Conference, to present the theme of the conference.
Thank you. Dignitaries on the dais, Honorable Chief Guest, Honorable Guest of Honor, Professor Mukhopadhyay presiding the session, Honorable Dean Faculty of Law, dignitaries of the dais, distinguished scholars, participants and delegates. Faculty of Law, in order to celebrate the centennial year, we have a task to organize a centennial conference on legal education. The legal education should be transformed, should be defined and redefined with the help of discourse and discussions. Therefore, we organize a task. What the assumptions? We want to identify and define the fundamentals of the education. What do you mean by education? A model of education, a definition of education given by Swami Vivekananda. Education is a tool of self-realization. Now the question is whether education is commodity or whether education is a value, whether education is an instrumental or a means or an end itself. Therefore, in the entire intellectual discourse, our assumption is we should define and redefine the meaning and the purview of education first. The second task is the process of learning. What universities are delivering nowadays. Friends, as per the Indian tradition, we are very clear, Acharyad Padamam Dattam, Padamam Siswa Swamedaya, Padamam Brahmacharibhya, Padamam Kalen Purite. Means, you may earn or learn 25% knowledge from your teachers, 25% knowledge with the discussion of your friends, 25% knowledge with experience and 25% of knowledge with passes of time. Means educational institutions cannot define, cannot claim that we are going to transform a personality of a youth. Means our role is limited. Therefore, we must understand the limitations of the educational institution and how we can improve the status and significance of educational institution. This is also an important and significant aspect. This should be refined and defined, friends. Friends, as a university, we have a long, glorious history. Our motto clearly mentioned that Vidya means Sha Vidya Bimukti, Sa Vidya Bimuktaye. Sha Vidya Bimuktaye means Vidya is a tool of liberation. Liberation from what? Liberation from all kind of limitation. Limitation means exist in the form of yogic system like ahankar, and in modern scientific English language that is identity. Means education is a tool which may liberate you from your identity. Means complete personality development. Friends, the Faculty of Law, Banaras Hindu University have a clear motive, Dharmo Vishwasya Jagatah Pratishtha. This is our vision as a legal institution. Dharmo Vishwasya Jagatah Pratishtha means entire dharma sustain the entire universe. Means any discourse cannot exist without the dharma, and dharma must be separated from the religion. Religion is a method, religion have a limitation, but dharma is a nature and essential character of a goods, of a person, of an institution, of an entire universe. Therefore, we must understand the dharma and we follow the dharma and we transform the society. Means the education should not be defined in the light of the commodification, in the light of pragmatic objectives. It also inculcates the values among the personality. Friends, in the gathering of the intellectuals, this is a galaxy of intellectuals. The different parts of the participants are participating in the conference. We have 22 technical sessions where 198 delegates are going to deliver their lectures. As an institution, As an institution of national importance, we are also exist here. And we contributed entire legal education predominantly. And we have a significant role in shaping the legal education of Bharatvarsh under the dynamic leadership of Professor Anand ji. And therefore, we as institutions able to claim that this institution shaped the entire legal education of Bharatvarsh. What we contributed? In India, we as an institution first introduced 3-year LLB degree course from 1965. It is documented in our BLJ. We in India, we as institutions also introduced 6th semester 3 years course, and where the minimum 60 lectures per subject is prescribed in this by this faculty. In India, we also first to introduce 2-year LLM degree course. Friends, in India, we are first introduce LLM in human right and duty education, and we are the list of the first started the legal aid and services discussions. We as an institution first to introduce the idea of seminar paper like law in religion, law in animal, and so on, law in rural development, law in urban development. We as an institution in India first introduce environmental law as a part of syllabus. We also contribute a lot. We as an institution first introduced the case law methods and prepared case law methods with the consultation of US professor. The new building of law faculty established in the year 1965, and the foundation is stone laid down by the great Prime Minister of Bharatvarsh, Lal Bahadur Shastri. The Lal Bahadur Shastri, the value of Lal Bahadur Shastri and the wisdom of Professor Anand ji build this institution as the greatest institution of the nation. Friends, now we are also contributing a lot in the field of legal education, but we also understand the contemporary environment, what is going on, and where we are lacking. But because we are the institution of national importance, we are owning the responsibility and liability to define and redefine and provide a shape of legal education. We think that this is our national duty to define legal education in the best interest of Bharatvarsh and the best interest of the universe. Because here, in Indian tradition itself suggesting something which is rooted in the land of Kasi also. Therefore, we are very thoroughly identified each and every aspects of the legal educations. For example, promises and prospect should be analyzed by the distinguished scholars like Professor Rao sir, Professor Nirmal sir. What education promised and what education is still delivered. This discourse and discussion is like a discussion between the modernity versus post-modernity. Again, we also discuss about the course curricula and teaching pedagogy. What should be studied? We as an institution introduced Hindu jurisprudence first in the country in the year 1965. It is also. But in contemporary scenario, what should be the course curricula and what should be the best method of pedagogy? This is a session, and the very good scholars are delivering the lectures, going to be delivered the lectures. We also have a session on the examination reform, how we are going to evaluate the youngs, whether we are willing to evolve a kind of methods through which we are willing to evaluate. Friends, with humble submission, the Faculty of Law identified certain academic agenda for each and every sessions, because we are very clear that We are not assembled here to discuss anything what we want to discuss. We identified the agenda, but I think that truth are multi-faced. We also have a limitations, and therefore these least and identified agendas are illustrative in nature, just only illustrative in nature. We also discussing about the different concept, like we are also discussing on the research, empirical research, and the role of sociological methods of jurisprudence in order to understand the things. A very great contemporary topic like Indianization, decolonization, and new education policy and the legal education should also be discussed 3 hours in the Centennial Conference of Law School. This issue is contemporary issue. Friends, we have a number of laws. I am not going to evaluate the colonial law and the colonial interpretation of law. But the facts are available and you are able to identify it. We want to also deconstruct a myth of Bar Council. The Bar Council cannot regulate everything in the field of legal education. They should confine only up to the LLB or the graduate course. The space should be open for the PG course and PhD. And therefore, the entire knowledge system should not be captured by one. The numbers of idea may be discussed here. We also have a session on different issues. For example, globalization and legal education. After WTO, the education is also considered a service, and service equated in the terms of GDP. What the role of WTO, what they are facilitating, what are the chances and challenges in contemporary worlds. We are also going to discuss a session on the clinical legal education and the legal aid program. This should be considered a socio-legal responsibility of a legal institutions. If as institutions the government is spending on you, you must facilitate something through different mechanism of outreach program. This also be discussed during the conference. Although, friends, very interestingly, the Faculty of Law identified a very distinct session, the legal education and the dialogue with different stakeholders. We are willing to listen the views and analysis of the different stakeholders of the society, for example, lawyers, NGO representative, bank representative, CA, and professor of sociology, what they are expecting from legal education and what they are expecting from the galaxy of legal scholars. Therefore, this is also identified as a context. Friends, the post-COVID situation cannot be ignored, and the role of online legal education can also not be ignored. Therefore, we have a specific discussion on the online legal education, online legal database, development of MOOCs, and the role of library in contemporary India. This is also a task to be discussed and delivered in the conference. Friends, we are also discussing the role of regulator, and we are not going to discuss only the Bar Council. We are also want to explore the possibility of UGC and what UGC may deliver in the field of legal educations. The last topic of this theme is the future of legal education, and the future of legal education identified in different heads. The first is the impact of AI on legal education, legal startup, diverse approach of student success, linking law scholar with public policy drafting institution, and access to justice through legal educations. These are few academic agenda of this conference. Faculty of Law, Banaras Hindu University, as the importance of national institutions, we at this occasion in a Centennial conference again want to understand the idea of these scholars. We are going to record all the lectures. We want to understand each and every points from you all, friends, because we want to develop ourselves as a best institution of this country, and therefore this is a kind of consultation process by which we may enrich our course curricula and everything, friends. But these are my simple views. I am humbly requesting you all that please discuss seriously each and every aspect of legal education, and this conference should define and identify certain objectives which should be heeded by this legal galaxy. With humble request, I am thanking everyone participating and presenting in the conference, and I think the Kasi is able to define everything. Therefore, legal education may also be defined by this holy land.